Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things, and welcome to another Jane Austen July vlog. So today is Monday, the 14th of July. I finished my last vlog, I think, on the 10th of July, but I've been away for the weekend, so I filmed a couple of life and reading clips, but I didn't film me talking. So I thought I would tell you today what I am currently reading. At this point, in the midway point of Jane Austen July, my Jane Austen July is going kind of fine. I always knew that I would read a lot more in the second half of July than the first, because I've got a very busy first half of July and then much less busy second half of July. I just handed in a big work project on Friday morning, so now I am feeling much less busy. So I hopefully will get lots of reading done this week and next when I have some work, but definitely not as urgent and intense. So that's good. So anyway, I am currently reading Jane Austen's Bookshelf by Rebecca Romney. That's my main read at the moment. I started this at the beginning of the month and I'm now 3/4 of the way through. So this is a non-fiction book all about sort of female 18th century writers who we know that Jane Austen liked and who influenced her, and about sort of why these writers have been forgotten in comparison to Jane Austen, and about their lives and their works, and the literary legacy that they have left behind that has sort of vanished into obscurity. It's absolutely fascinating. So I am on chapter 8 out of 9. So actually I'm really near the end. It looks like I'm just over halfway through from my bookmark, but there's actually a lot of notes at the end, so I'm actually really nearing the end, and I'm finding this hugely fascinating. I've really enjoyed this book. It is a sort of mixture of literary history and biography, with a little bit of memoir as well, and I'm kind of really enjoying all of that and learning more about these authors, some of which I had read from before but only a little bit, some of which I hadn't heard of, some of which I'm now hugely excited to read from or to read more by. And yeah, this is just really great non-fiction, just kind of non-fiction that I like. Then I'm also reading The Grand Sophie by Georgette Heyer. I do have a physical book. I don't know where I put my library book. Anyway, I will find that later. But I'm only on the first chapter. I haven't read very much of that, but I'm enjoying that so far. Looking forward to carrying on with that properly, probably dedicating more time to it once I finish Jane Austen's Bookshelf, which I'm hoping I might do tomorrow. Then I'm also reading Emmett by Elsie Rosen on my phone on ebook, which is a modern queer YA Emma retelling, which is great fun so far. Very much enjoying that. Then on audiobook, I'm listening to Emma by Jane Austen, which is our group read this month for Jane Austen July. And I'm also listening to The Mysteries of Udolpho by Anne Radcliffe, which is an 18th century novel, Gothic novel by one of the authors mentioned in this book. I have read a little bit by Anne Radcliffe before, but I'm enjoying The Mysteries of Udolpho more than The Castles of Athlin and Dunblane, which I read a while back. And yeah, The Mysteries of Udolpho is very fun and gothic so far. I am probably 20% of the way through. It's a long book, but I'm hoping I'll get through a bit more of that this week and next week. And yeah, So I'm currently reading lots of things. I'm relatively hopeful I will finish off Jane Austen's bookshelf very soon. And I probably kind of could finish off Emma relatively soon too. I am a little bit ahead of the read longer schedule, but I'm still trying to pace myself with it and just enjoy it, especially as I've read it many times before. So yeah, that's how my Jane Austen July is going so far, and I will carry on with this vlog, and I will check in again soon. Hello again, it is Tuesday the 15th of July and I don't have too much more to report, but I have read a little bit more of Emma, which I'm still really enjoying on audiobook, a little bit more of Jane Austen's bookshelf, which again, still really enjoying, and quite a bit more of The Mysteries of Udolpho by Anne Radcliffe, which I'm having a really good time with. We finally got to Castle Udolpho, and mysterious, dark, sinister things are potentially happening. There's lots of like Gothic tropes that I love. You know, this is from the beginning of Gothic literature, and it's so lovely to see all those tropes in kind of their early forms and their, you know, points of creation, I suppose, in some ways. There's lots of gossip and, you know, servants warning about the dangers of the house, and noises in the night and doors that unlock and lock themselves, and all of that stuff. So it's really, really intriguing and I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, I'm very interested to see what comes of the rest of The Mysteries of Udolpho. I am really enjoying it a lot so far, and I'm really enjoying listening to an audiobook. I think especially for a longer book, I do often find an audiobook works well for me. So yeah, I'm getting a lot out of that so far. I've been listening to it while doing redecorating, which is very nice. And it's nice to have a really intriguing, gripping audiobook to go with a redecoration project. That's all I think I have to say for today. I will try and film a quick update tomorrow. I have a bit of a weird week this week because I was away last weekend and then have a few days working this week, and then on Thursday I'm off to Harrogate Crime Writing Festival, which I'm really, really looking forward to. I went last year and it was so much fun, and I'm sure it will be really fun this year, even though it is meant to rain, so that may slightly put a dampener on the weekend. But you know, it's not meant to rain every day, just most days. But yeah, I'm going up on Thursday afternoon and I will try and film a few clips when I'm there, though I don't know how many of them I will put in this vlog because I'm also filming a kind of like writing related, author related vlog this month as well. But anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to that a lot. So I will hopefully get a lot of reading done on the train on Thursday. I'm excited for that. I'm kind of hoping I'll manage to finish off Jane Austen's bookshelf tomorrow so that I don't have to take that heavy hardback with me, but I'll see how I go. Hello again, it is Wednesday the 16th of July and I've just finished reading Rebecca Romney's Jane Austen's bookshelf, which I loved so much. I had such a great time with this, just the kind of non-fiction book I like, and I just thought it was a really great literary history with a lot of really interesting detail, and a lot of really interesting commentary, and I'm now so excited to read more from, or to read for the first time, some of the authors that Rebecca Romney talks about in this book. And I also just had a really like enjoyable reading experience of this book, which I don't always have with non-fiction. For me, it really, really worked. I feel like in the last reading vlog, I was maybe like slightly critical about like one or two things, and I feel like that went away after the first like one or two chapters. And actually, I feel like overall, I just really thought this was great, and had a really good time with it. I do think it's worth knowing going into it that it's not a work of literary criticism. It is a work of literary history with a bit of biography, a bit of memoir thrown in, but it's not like literary criticism. But I loved what it was and thought it was fantastic. So yes, really, really enjoyed this. And I even found it quite moving at the end, as Rebecca Romney talks about, you know, like how these authors have come to mean a lot to her, and like how she hopes this book will encourage other people to read them and to, you know, discover new authors from the past that they're excited about, which I just kind of loved. And it has really made me want to read more
books from the 18th century, both sort of female writers from the 18th century and just in general from the 18th century, because I feel like I haven't read that much from it. You know, I think one of the things Rebecca Romney talks about in this book is how there's sort of like a common assumption or a sort of, you know, canonical belief that there are no good female novelists before Jane Austen. And I don't think I've ever gone around saying or thinking that there are no good female novelists before Jane Austen, but I do think I have slightly had in my head that there are no good novelists full stop before Jane Austen. I think basically because I had read a handful of 18th century novels, you know, books like Robinson Crusoe and Gulliver's Travels, and The Vicar of Wakefield, and thought they were fine, but not really liked them. Actually, I didn't even think Robinson Crusoe was fine. I just thought it was bad. But hey, I feel like having read a handful of 18th century books and not liked them, and never got swept up in 18th century British literature in the way I have in 19th century British literature, I therefore have actually probably dismissed a lot of authors who I might really love. And there are, like I said, authors in this book that I have read and authors who I have liked, and especially reading Belinda by Maria Edgeworth last year, which I found fascinating, really made me want to read more authors from before Jane Austen. But this book has even more made me want to read more British literature from before Jane Austen, so I feel like I need to go away and have a little 18th century project of my own. But Anyway, that's a tangent, but I thought this was great. So there we go. That was most of my reading for the first half of July, wasn't it? It has occurred to me that we're halfway through Jane Austen July and I have finished 3 books, one of which was this tiny thing, but you know, hey, it's fine. I knew that my first half of July would be busy. I am also more than halfway through listening to Emma on audiobook, and I am like a third of the way through The Mysteries of Udolpho by Anne Radcliffe. I'm also still very near the beginning of The Grand Sophie by Georgette Heyer, which I'm hoping to properly progress with tomorrow, and I'm also very near the beginning of Emmett by Elsie Rosen. So tomorrow I am off to Harrogate for the Crime Writing Festival, which I'm really looking forward to, and tomorrow I have a long train journey of like 3 or 4 hours in which I'm going to get some good reading done. I have booked myself a seat in the quiet carriage and I shall read undisturbed for many hours and it will be great. So I'm going to take The Grand Sophie with me, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. I'm kind of thinking that I will get through most of this on the train tomorrow because it's not actually that long. And then I think I want to take at least one other book for the weekend, partly also because I probably won't take The Grand Sophie along to the festival itself because it's a library book and I hear it's going to rain and the festival's in a field and I just feel like the chance of me getting a book muddy is not high, but I still would rather not risk it with a library book. So what else am I going to take? I'm just inspecting my stack of books for the rest of Jane Austen July. Okay, so I'm not going to take the Jane Austen year with me because, you know, that's a massive hardback, though I do really want to read this, so I feel like I need to be starting this when I get back. Then I'm also, for the same reason, not going to take The Elopement by Jill Hornby. It's a hardback, it's heavy. Also, what a tragedy it would be to drop this beautiful book in the mud. Look at the inside dust jacket. This is my favourite thing in the world, the inside of Jill Hornby's hardbacks. On the outside, it is an embroidery, and on the inside, it's the back of the embroidery. This is my favourite design thing that has ever been done with any book ever. I'm also not going to take The Female Quixote by Charlotte Lennox, partly because it's a library book, and partly because I am probably actually going to listen to this in audiobook rather than read it physically, depending on where I'm up to with The Mysteries of Udolpho next week, but I think I'm more likely to listen to this in audiobook, so put that to the side. Which leaves us with Love and Marriage in the Age of Jane Austen by Rory Muir, This Motherless Land by Nikki May, and 6 Weeks by the Sea by Paula Byrne. So on the one hand, it would be kind of fun to take Love and Marriage in the Age of Jane Austen with me, because I remember this time last year when I went to the Crime Writing Festival in Harrogate last year, I was reading Rory Muir's previous book, Gentleman of Uncertain Fortune, but it is a bit thicker. So maybe I will take one of these two and they will fit more easily in my bag. You know what, I think I'm going to take This Motherless Land because I have been meaning to read that for longer. And I also feel like 6 Weeks by the Sea will be a quicker read and I'm more likely to be able to like read that in a day when I get back. So yeah, I think I'm going to take This Motherless Land with me and start that as well. Okay, that was a very long decision process, but I'm really looking forward to Harrogate Crime Writing Festival. I will try and take a couple of clips. Like I said, some of it will end up in this vlog, some of it will end up in another vlog, but I will definitely vlog a bit of my reading on the train. That's it from me for now, and I will check in again probably on Sunday, I guess, and let you know how my reading has gone.
Hello, I've made it to Harrogate and I read a big chunk of the Grand Sophie on the train, a good like 250 pages. Yeah, which was really good. I'm really enjoying it for the most part. I don't think Georgia Hare is going to be like a new favourite, but it is really good fun. And I definitely think I will read more by her in the future. And you know, I still have 100 pages to go. I'm quite curious to see where it's going to go. I feel like it's not very predictable plot-wise, which is kind of fun. And I'm enjoying the dialogue and the drama. And this is the tale of Sophie, who is an heiress who goes to stay with her cousins and her aunt and uncle for the sort of season, and they're all expecting sort of a polite young lady, but Sophie is rather more independent than they are used to. And this is a book set in the Regency period, but from 1950. And hopefully I'll get a bit more of this read today before all the like literary festival joy kicks off, which I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, all right, I will check in again soon.
Hello again, it is Monday the 21st of July and I am back from Harrogate, and yes, what do I have to report? I finished reading The Grand Sophie by Georgia Hare, which I have mixed feelings about. I don't know whether I loved it or I hated it. I think I probably slightly hated it. I didn't like the characters I was meant to like, and I found Sophie a very frustrating character. It was almost like she had a lot in some ways in common with Emma from Jane Austen's Emma, you know, which I was thinking about because I'm obviously reading Emma at the same time as well. But I feel like it's almost like she's Emma without the character development. Like she's Emma who doesn't realise that maybe sometimes she's wrong. And there are, like, I don't think she's entirely like Emma. And there are obviously moments where we see, like, kindness from Sophie. But, like, as a character, I found her, yeah, very frustrating. So I can't remember how much I've talked about this book before, but the premise is that this woman, Sophie, young woman Sophie, goes to live with her cousins and her aunt and uncle in London. They don't know her very well, and we kind of look at how she bursts into their lives and impacts all their lives. And she is really, really interfering. Like, she interferes with all their lives, trying to arrange them in the way that she thinks would be best. And she doesn't behave in a way that is, you know, considered appropriate for young ladies at this time. And I think she's meant to be like a really appealing character because she's very like headstrong and fierce, but like also she does a lot of things that are quite dangerous, and she also interferes in people's lives in a way that I thought was like really not okay. And I didn't like her, and I think I was meant to like her, but I found her a very frustrating character, and that meant therefore there were lots of other things in the book that I like felt like I wasn't on the same page as the author as. And I also found the love story like toxic. I don't know, I just, yeah, have mixed feelings about this. It was kind of like a good fun romp of an adventure, but I didn't really like it. So, controversial opinion, I know Georgette Heyer is very much beloved, and maybe I'll read some Georgette Heyer in the future and like it. I am curious to try other things by her, but I probably wouldn't run out to buy more by her because I didn't get on hugely well with the book, and I found it quite frustrating. I mean, I liked the writing and sort of the style of it, so I suppose in that sense maybe I would like more by her. Maybe it was just the plot and the characters that I didn't get on with, but yeah, that's basically what I read over the weekend. I was busy doing bookish things, crime writing festival things, nothing to do with Jane Austen, but that was fun. But I didn't read anything more. I took This Motherless Land with me, but I didn't get to start it. But I hopefully will at some point soon. I think I'm going to wrap up this reading vlog now, and I will start a new one today/tomorrow. And you know, we'll see how much I get read in the last 10 days of the month. The last 10 days of the month are definitely my least busy 10 days of the month by quite a long way, so I'm hoping I will get quite a bit read. But there are a lot of things on my TBR that I want to get to, so we will see. So that is all for now. Do let me know down in the comments, what have you been reading? And yeah, what else do I have to say? Harrogate was great fun, but I feel like I won't talk too much about that here, and I hopefully haven't given you too many clips of that here because I'm going to save that for a different vlog. I had a good time talking to lots of writers and lots of readers about books, and that was very nice. So there we go. That's all for now. Do let me know down in the comments what you have been reading lately, and I'll be back very soon with another bookish video.